Have you ever wanted to turn your kids into a superhero? Let's do it. Hey guys, Ben here, and in this tutorial / breakdown, I want to show you how you can turn your kids into superheroes with the help of some brand new plugins from Boris FX, as well as some stock footage assets from Action VFX. So this video is not sponsored by Action VFX or Boris FX, but I do have an affiliate relationship with both of those companies, and Action VFX was kind enough to send me some of the assets that I'm using in this particular video. I'll put links in the description below, and one of the best ways that you can help support this channel is to visit those websites and patronize them, show them patronage, patronize those establishments. So the impetus for this video, beyond wanting to have fun with my kids and spend more time with them, anybody who has multiple children will tell you that they fight a lot. And sometimes it feels like I'm living in the movie Captain America Civil War, so I thought it would be fun to kind of do something like that. Also, I want to say at the outset of this, there is nobody who does these kinds of videos better than Action Movie Dad himself, Daniel Hashimoto, who does the Action Movie Kid viral videos that you've probably have seen. He also does the cheap tricks tutorials over at Red Giant. In fact, his Captain Marvel tutorial was instrumental in helping me to add a little bit of extra flavor to this video. Also, something to note, planning is everything, and I say that as someone who did almost no planning before shooting this video. So as most politicians these days, do as I say, not as I do. So there are a number of reasons as to why I didn't do a lot of planning in this video, and the two biggest reasons were time, which I didn't really have a lot of, and two, directing kids is very difficult, and you make that task that much more difficult when you bring out the green screen, you set up the lights, and you make it into a bigger production than it kind of needs to be. It makes it a little bit harder, or I should say a lot harder, in keeping the kids focused and staying on track. And really kind of a third reason, when I initially was thinking about this particular video, it was going to be a much shorter video than it ended up being, and some of that changed in the edit, and so, well, let's get into it and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So here we are inside of Premiere. I already shot all of the stuff, and as I started to kind of lay things down in the timeline, I started to kind of see a little bit of a story evolve, and that was one of the things that I was talking about earlier, is that initially when I had thought about this, I was only going to do like one shot or like a couple of shots, and you know, maybe max 10 seconds long. But as I kind of started to see a little bit of a story evolve here, I kind of thought, oh, this might be kind of fun. And then on top of that, I found some temp music here that kind of help kind of tell a little bit of that story, and it was kind of funny to kind of have this thing be a little bit more cheesy and dramatic than I kind of initially thought about. So I kind of really played up the Captain America Civil War kind of aspect of things. But so I have my footage here. I cut everything together kind of roughly how I wanted to have it. And then I sent it to After Effects. And so I use the dynamic link workflow. And one of the things that I would suggest that anybody do who does that is to duplicate your footage. So in video layer 1, you'll have the original footage, and then you just hold Alt and drag to video layer 2 to duplicate that, and then I would mute those. I have that mapped to, I have the enable and disable clip mapped to Control-Shift-B. And then on video layer 2, I would select all this footage and I would right click and replace with After Effects composition. Now, I already did this, so I'm not going to do it again here, but I just kind of want to show you that process. So let's jump into After Effects. So when you do the replace with After Effects composition, it comes in like this. Now, it doesn't come in as neatly organized as this particular project is, and that has to do with just, you know, the maintenance that I did as I was working. But I typically have, you know, kind of an organizational folder structure here to kind of keep things tidy and organized and whatnot. So so I have the footage here. I'm going to disable the color correction layer. We'll get to that later. And so so this stuff plays out, and then what I kind of initially thought was it might be kind of fun to kind of have the, you know, kind of the fire or the spark or the boiling points to kind of start right here in this particular shot. And then that would progress to him escalating things. And then, of course, we would have the flame on, you know, kind of the Human Torch kind of a thing. And, you know, sorry, I'm still laughing at how cheesy this is. And so let's get into this particular shot right here. We're going to start here. Let me, let's see, let's reveal this in project. I have a proxy enabled here. So I'm going to disable the proxy. Let's go into this comp right here. And let's start with the base layer right here. So with this base layer right here, obviously there's nothing done to it. It's a base layer. And then on top of that, I have an Action VFX asset, which is some smoke, a smoke asset. And this kind of, you know, this kind of gives you that, that boiling point, or the fire is starting and burning up within him. And then on top of that, I added another layer, and what I wanted to have, this is a technique that I got out of the Captain Marvel Cheap Tricks episode over on the Red Giant channel. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time going through some of these things, you know, because Hashi does such a great job breaking it down and kind of showing you how to do some of these things. But let me unadd this, and you can kind of see right here. So basically what I have is he uses the After Effects Find Edges effect in his tutorial, and I actually am using Sapphire's. I'm actually using Boris Effects Sapphire edge detect here because it gives me a lot more control and it gives me a lot more options than what the Find Edges effect in After Effects is. And so that's kind of the base effect right there. And then on top of that, we have some fractal noise to kind of break it up. And again, Hashi goes into how you use fractal noise to kind of break up an effect there. And then of course I added some red glow on top of that. So now, you know, as you can kind of see right here, it's kind of like these little flame bits that are kind of starting up. And then when I add that on top of the footage, it looks like he's getting heated. He's getting a little frustrated. And then we add this orange little bits right here as well too on top of that, to kind of add to that kind of ember flavor, if you will, that's kind of boiling up within him. And then we've got a little heat distortion effect. This is Red Giant's Heat Wave, as well as Red Giant's chromatic aberration in the universe plugins. And then I've got some sparks on top of that, which are kind of coming up. And then the last part is I am using Sapphire's shake effect, and I've keyframed this so that it kind of so things kind of start here before it kind of, you know, so the shake kind of starts before kind of the boiling effect starts, if you will. And then, so that's this particular shot. Let me go back and enable this proxy so we can kind of see it all play out right here. So as you can see, the shake effect kind of starts a little bit before he starts to get a little heated here and a little frustrated. And so let's tab over to here. Let's go back to this comp. And so then this effect right here, or I should say this shot right here, this is kind of him starting to heat up and starting to escalate things as well too. So for him, I wanted to do something a little bit different. I wanted to add some kind of some energy, electricity going around him. And so I used let me actually, where is this shot? Let's reveal this in the composition. I'm going to disable the proxy here. Let's go back here. So for this, I used a new plugin from in the new version of Sapphire, which came out, I think, last week. But this plugin is called UltraZap, and it is based off of their widely popular and widely used zap effect, which is an electricity effect. But this kind of takes things to a whole new level. So let me go to my effects controls. So now one of the ways that UltraZap works, and one of the ways it works best, is it works with After Effects masks, and it can generate. So it will basically wrap around an After Effects mask. So I could have manually done this, but one of the things that I did on this particular effect to get this spline is Mocha. So Mocha Pro, the plugin version of Mocha Pro, actually allows you to, I'm going to open up Mocha here. So as we go into Mocha here, you can see right here that I basically used Mocha to kind of, let me turn off the mesh warp. I used Mocha to kind of create that that spline or the mask that I needed, and so this helped really quickly and kind of made things a lot quicker than hand animating the mask, which I could have done. And then now that I have that, I can use Create EE Masks, and this will generate a mask for me, which is that spline. Why is it doing the warp? I don't want it to do the warping. Oh, I have that on, that's why. So as you can see right here, it kind of generates the mask. Well, I don't need this on the base layer, so obviously I'm going to turn that off. And then I duplicated that layer. Yeah, I duplicated that and I put it right up here along with this. So the mask is right here on this layer. And as you can see, this is the UltraZap effect. And it is generating that electricity around that mask, that After Effects mask. And so that was how I created that little energy zap around him. And on top of that, I added some more Sapphire Shake on top of that. And then, let's see, I think that was it for this particular shot. Yes, that was it for this particular shot. And oh yeah, that was the previous shot. Okay, so then let's move on to this shot right here. So this is the full flame on, excuse me, the full flame on effect. Let me actually disable this proxy because I have a proxy enabled on this as well. Let's disable the proxy there, and let's go into this shot. Now this one is quite extensive here. So let's start with the base layer here. And with the base layer, I also have, so I did something similar where I needed to have the, I wanted to have the mask for this particular shot as well too. So I did something similar and I went into Mocha and I used Mocha to track or to essentially kind of create the mask around him. Now again, there's not a lot of movement going on in this particular shot, so I probably could have just, it's probably a little overkill for me to have used Mocha, but it did it really quickly with almost no keyframes at all. And so I was able to then generate that mask for, the reason I needed that mask was so I wanted to keep all of the fire and the flames inside of that mask. But as you can kind of see right here, I added some Sapphire warp waves and some Sapphire distort chroma on top of that. And I'm using this mask. This mask is kind of revealing the effect as it comes on. And then I have another footage layer right here. Oh yeah, so this is something that I did This is also kind of based off of that Captain Marvel tutorial that Hashi did over at Red Giant. So I'm using some turbulent displace and some fast blur, because basically what I wanted, so I'm going to add another, I wanted to have kind of a little outer glow on him, and so that was one of the reasons I kind of did that. And then we are going to start adding, let's see, yep, there we go. We got another energy, another piece of inner energy. This is also an effect that I pulled from the Captain Marvel tutorial. We have another layer of energy here as well too, which kind of starts about right here. And then we have more, this was the find edges, or the edge detect, that I did in the earlier shot. I carried it over to this as well too. And then we have the heat distortion on top of that. And then now we start adding the fire. And with this particular fire, so this is one of the reasons why I wanted to make sure that I masked him out, because I then came into this composition and added all of the Action VFX fire assets onto that, but I wanted to make sure it stayed within him, or I should say kind of within the area around him, because I didn't want it to overpower the entire shot. So let's go ahead and add the fire onto him. As you can see, it kind of stays within him, but it goes out a little bit, which is fine. It's fire, it does that. And then, I added another layer of him on top, so that this particular fire layer is only just kind of on the edges. Then we add more. Here's the face glow, as well as the additional embers and stuff like that are on there from the previous shot. And then the fire again on top of that. And then we have, what was this shot doing? I made this into an adjustment layer. So I'm using Ultra Glow, which is also a new effect in Sapphire 2021. And so I'm using Ultra Glow on top of that. And then of course more sparks and more Action VFX assets here. Oh yeah, we got that little flame, that little ball of flame coming up there. That little ball of flame kind of reveals all of the other effects as well too on top of that. And then let's see, that one's off. All right, so we got some smoke assets here, and then we got some more spark assets, and then on top of that we have some more heat wave and chromatic aberration, and then we have our shake layer on top of that to give me the nice wonderful camera shake, and that is that shot right there. And then we go back to him. Now again, see, a lot of these effects carry over from shot to shot, and so similarly here, the only thing that I added on this shot from the previous one is I actually added a little bit of blue flame on top of him. And in this particular instance, because I colorized it, I kind of felt like it was kind of more of an energy field than it was flames. And then I used lens flare. I used Sapphire lens flare on the hands, and I kind of manually tracked those in. Let's see, is there anything else I wanted to show? Oh, I also used a. We'll go back here to you right here. So I also used this little Shockwave element from Action VFX, and then we have the kind of the full version of this. Oh, with this particular shot, It's almost exactly the same as the previous shot, but one thing I added was I added particular onto this. Let me go here. Let me find the composition. I added particular onto this shot right here because I kind of wanted some extra burning or sparks, I should say. And so it was just easier to just kind of throw, I'm pretty sure actually this is a preset that I just used. And so that's the only thing that's different in this particular shot than the previous one. So I had this idea, and this happened in the edit as well too. I thought it would be kind of funny that, you know, we're kind of seeing this buildup happening and things are escalating and the fight is about ready to start. And then all of this, you know, the superhero stuff starts to, you know, kind of build up. And then we kind of cut to this shot. And for me, this was kind of more of a comedic kind of relief, as in, you know, kind of all of the superhero stuff is stuff that's going on in their heads. And then this is kind of what we see in reality. And so it kind of played out better once I go back into the edit. So actually, let's go back into Premiere and I will show you how I finished this. So I rendered it out, and as I rendered it out, as you can kind of see here, I kind of started chopping up the edit, and I played around with the timing of this as well, and I added, let's see, let me go to, because this is going to blow out my eardrums if I don't turn this down. So as you can hear, I changed the music out, and because when I did this initial edit right here, I was basically just kind of using some temp music to kind of get an idea of how things were gonna cut together. And so this is music that I wrote for it. And then of course, I added some sound design elements. I use this plugin called Boombox by Mount Mograph, and this is such an invaluable tool for adding sound effects in Premiere. And I mean, it's a huge extensive library of sound effects, and I'll do another video on this another time, but these are the sound effects that I added into this. In fact, let me actually just mute the music. There we go. All right. Thank you so much for sticking around and watching this video. If you got value out of that, I'd appreciate it if you give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks.